The system is rigged against you. Airlines are banking on your silence while they quietly drain your bank account. They hope you do not know that $1,550 in cold, hard cash is what they might owe you for overbooking, or that $3,800 is the legal liability limit for your lost suitcase. It is time to stop feeding the corporate machine. The air in that cabin is physically drier than the Sahara Desert, and the risk of a blood clot in your legs is a genuine medical threat that nobody talks about. These are 15 essential rules to navigate the airport and come out the other side with your health, your sanity, and your money intact. Here is Rule 1 of 15. 7 out of 10 manual baggage inspections at security checkpoints are triggered by a single avoidable mistake. Take Hazel, a 25-year-old photographer rushing through the crowds at Austin Bergstrom International Airport, AUS. She placed her laptop in the gray bin, followed by her bag, standard procedure. But as her belongings rolled through the X-ray, the belt grinded to a halt. Hazel felt that familiar spike of anxiety. Her heart raced as an officer pulled her bag aside for a manual search. It was not the high-end camera or the laptop that flagged the system. It was a messy $15 charging cable coiled in a tangled nest at the bottom of her pack. To an X-ray scanner, a dense ball of copper wires looks like a potential threat, a dark mass that the machine cannot see through. It triggers an automatic red flag. The airlines and the TSA will not tell you this, but they prefer you stay in line and stay quiet. To avoid this delay, always place large electronics in their own bin, but take it a step further. Keep your cables in a separate, clear organizer bag. Lay them out flat rather than coiling them into a ball. If the chargers are organized, the X-ray light can penetrate the bag easily, and you will sail through without a secondary search. It is a simple fix that saves 10 minutes of interrogation. Hazel eventually made her flight, but she learned the hard way that organization is for people who hate being patted down. Security is just the beginning. The real battle starts when they try to tell you what you can and cannot eat. Here is Rule 2 of 15. You need to stop treating your snacks like food and start treating them like liquids. To the TSA, a 12-ounce jar of artisanal peanut butter is exactly the same as a bottle of water. Emily, a 31-year-old social worker from Boston, discovered this during a busy afternoon at Logan International Airport, BOS. She had spent nearly $20 on a premium local spread for her family, only to watch a security agent drop it into a trash bin. Emily tried to argue that it was a solid snack. The agent did not care. The rule is simple. If you can spill it, smear it, or spray it, it is officially a liquid in the eyes of the government. To avoid losing your expensive treats, stick to the 3.4-ounce rule for anything spreadable. This includes hummus, jams, and even thick honey. If you absolutely need a specific brand, buy it after you pass the security checkpoint, or consider the freezing trick. Some frequent flyers freeze their peanut butter or yogurt solid before the flight. If it is rock hard when it hits the X-ray, it is technically a solid. However, use caution. If it starts melting while you are stuck in a long line, the agent will likely toss it. Reality check. Security agents have the final word, and arguing about the viscosity of your snack is a losing battle. Emily lost her peanut butter, but she learned how to navigate the liquid trap. But your snacks are the least of your worries when the scanner decides your hair is a security risk. Here is Rule 3 of 15. Grayson, a 22-year-old musician, was rushing through Terminal C at Newark Liberty International Airport, EWR, to catch an early flight. He had spent time perfecting a sharp, tight man bun, thinking it looked professional for his trip. He stepped into the millimeter wave scanner, raised his arms, and waited. Suddenly, the alarm sounded. A bright red box appeared on the security screen, centered exactly on the top of his head. The officer looked at the screen and then back at Grayson with a sigh. She told him she needed to perform a manual pat-down of his hair. Grayson felt his face turn red as he had to dismantle his hairstyle in front of dozens of staring strangers, fumbling with elastics while trying to keep his composure. The scanning system is not designed to see hair. It is designed to detect mass. To the machine, a dense bun, thick braids, or a heavy hairpiece looks like a hidden object that could be a weapon or contraband. Instead of a 5-second walkthrough, you end up with a forced scalp search. The fix is simple. Wear your hair down or in a very loose ponytail while passing through the checkpoint. Avoid using heavy metal clips or bulky accessories that trigger the senses. It is an awkward, unnecessary delay that can be avoided with a bit of planning. Grayson made his flight, but his pride was bruised. A bad hair day at security is one thing, but it is nothing compared to the chaos when an airline decides they do not have a seat for you at all. Here is Rule 4 of 15. Have you ever wondered why an airline gate agent offers a measly $200 travel voucher when they are literally kicking you off a flight you already paid for? They are not being generous. They are trying to buy your silence for pennies on the dollar. Wyatt, a 48-year-old accountant, was at Denver International Airport, DEN, when the announcement came over the speaker. The flight was overbooked. The agent told Wyatt he was being bumped and slid a paper credit across the desk. The next flight was not for another 8 hours. Wyatt was furious. But instead of taking the coupon like everyone else, he stopped and asked one specific question. He knew that if you are involuntarily denied boarding, you do not have to settle for a voucher. According to Department of Transportation rules, if the airline cannot get you to your destination within 2 hours of your original arrival time, you are often entitled to 400% of your one-way fare in cash. This can be as much as $1,550. When Wyatt asked if this was an involuntary denied boarding, the agent's tone shifted instantly. He did not get a coupon. He got a check that paid for his entire vacation. Reality check. This rule does not apply if you are late to the gate or if the flight is canceled for weather. But for a standard overbooked flight, the law is on your side. Wyatt beat the trap, but even a confirmed seat will not save you from the physical misery of being stuck on the ground for hours. Here is Rule 5 of 15. 120 minutes. That is the exact moment your delayed plane stops being a waiting room and starts becoming a legal liability for the airline. Daniel, a 52-year-old carpenter, sat in seat 14B at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, ATL, feeling the walls of the cabin close in. His flight was stalled on the tarmac, and the air was getting stale. For anyone with even mild claustrophobia, this is a mental nightmare. But Daniel knew the clock was his only ally. He checked his watch and waited. The airline hopes you do not know the tarmac delay rules. After 2 hours of sitting on that plane, the crew is generally required to provide you with water and a small snack. It is not a courtesy. It is a standard of care. If the delay hits 3 hours for a domestic flight or 4 hours for an international one, they are usually required to return to the gate and let you off the plane entirely. Daniel stayed calm because he knew his rights. He politely reminded the flight attendant of the time, and 10 minutes later, the water service began. Reality check. Safety and security issues can sometimes override these timelines, but knowing the 2-hour mark gives you the leverage to ask for basic human needs. Daniel eventually took off, but physical comfort is only half the battle. Your wallet is still at risk the moment you land. Here is Rule 6 of 15. Never accept that tiny plastic amenity bag at the customer service desk as a final solution for your missing luggage. Lincoln, a 29-year-old journalist, stood at the baggage carousel at San Diego International Airport, SAN, watching the empty belt rotate for the 10th time. His suitcase was gone. He felt a pit in his stomach as the last passenger left the terminal. The agent at the counter shrugged and slid a small kit across the desk. It contained a travel-sized toothpaste and a scratchy, oversized t-shirt. They hope you take the bag and go home. Do not fall for it. The truth is that airlines are legally liable for up to $3,800 for lost or delayed baggage on domestic flights. Lincoln did not just need a toothbrush. He had a professional conference the next morning and no suit. You are entitled to purchase necessary items like clothing, toiletries, and even chargers, and then submit those receipts for reimbursement. Do not let them tell you the kit is all they can provide. Be polite, but mention that you are aware of the Department of Transportation liability limits. Lincoln kept every single receipt for his new suit and toiletries. It took 3 weeks of follow-up, but the airline eventually covered the $200 cost. Reality check. They will not hand you cash on the spot. You must file a claim and be prepared to wait. You saved your wardrobe, but now you have to survive the actual flight. Here is Rule 7 of 15. Owen, a 41-year-old nurse, sat in seat 22B at San Francisco International Airport, SFO, feeling like a sardine in a tin can. To his left, the window passenger leaned against the wall. To his right, the aisle travelers stretched their legs into the walkway. Owen was trapped in the middle. His shoulders were hunched and his elbows were tucked in tight. This is the classic middle seat nightmare. But there is an unwritten physical rule that can save your sanity. Both armrests belong to the person in the middle. The logic is simple. The window passenger has a wall to lean on and a view to look at. The aisle passenger has extra leg room and easy access to the restroom. The person in the middle has nothing but 2 neighbors and a lack of space. They are the prisoner of the row. If you are in the middle, take those armrests. Do not be shy. It is the only advantage you have in economy class. Most frequent flyers understand this social contract. Reality check. This is not a federal law, so do not start a physical confrontation over it. A polite nudge or a confident placement of your arms usually does the trick. Owen reclaimed his space and breathed a little easier. But even a comfortable seat will not protect your health from the hidden dangers of long-haul travel. Here is Rule 8 of 15. Have you ever felt a strange, dull ache in your calves after being stuck in a cramped seat for hours? Charlotte, a 55-year-old realtor from Seattle, was flying out of Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, SEA, on a 6-hour red-eye flight. She sat motionless for nearly the entire duration. Halfway over the country, her lower legs began to throb. This was not just exhaustion. It was the beginning of a potential medical emergency. Dehydration and lack of movement make your blood sluggish, and in the low-pressure environment of a cabin, one clot can ruin everything. The fix is proactive movement. Charlotte started performing the alphabet exercise, tracing the letters A through Z with her toes once every hour. This keeps the blood pumping through the lower extremities. You should also drink at least 16 ounces of water every 3 hours, and consider wearing compression socks rated at 15 to 20 millimeters of mercury. These socks apply gentle pressure to your legs, maintaining blood flow and reducing swelling. Charlotte made it to her destination without the throbbing pain. Reality check. Deep vein thrombosis is rare, but the risk increases significantly on flights longer than 4 hours. Move your feet or pay the price later. Your health is secure, but the cabin air is still trying to dehydrate you from the inside out. Here is Rule 9 of 15. At 35,000 feet, the humidity inside an airplane cabin drops below 20%. That is statistically drier than the Sahara Desert. Your body loses about 8 ounces of water for every hour you spend in the air. Benjamin, a 37-year-old chef, was flying out of London Heathrow, LHR, and ordered a gin and tonic to relax. He did not realize that one drink at cruising altitude hits your system like 2 on the ground. The thin air accelerates alcohol absorption, while the atmosphere literally sucks the moisture out of your cells. Benjamin landed, feeling like a zombie. The airline will not tell you this, but you need to drink 8 to 16 ounces of water for every hour of flight time. When the drink cart arrives, do not just accept the tiny plastic cup. Ask specifically for the full can of water or club soda. Most flight attendants will say yes if you ask politely. Skip the salted pretzels. They are sodium bombs that will dehydrate you even faster. Water is your primary weapon against jet lag and post-flight fatigue. You might not feel perfect when you land, but you will avoid the total physical crash. However, keeping your body hydrated is easy compared to keeping your money safe when you are forced to check a bag. Here is Rule 10 of 15. Stop accepting a gate agent's demand to check your bag into the cargo hold without a fight. Avery, a 24-year-old software developer, stood at the gate in Helsinki, HEL, clutching a carry-on packed with $3,000 worth of camera gear and a high-end laptop. The agent announced that the overhead bins were full, and all remaining bags had to be gate-checked. Avery felt a wave of panic. He knew that items in the cargo hold are treated roughly, and expensive electronics are often at risk of theft or damage. The airline is banking on your compliance to speed up the boarding process. Avery approached the desk and used the safety defense. He looked the agent in the eye and said that his bag contained multiple unremovable lithium-ion batteries and sensitive electronics that are documented fire hazards in the cargo hold. Safety regulations are the one thing an airline cannot ignore. While they might ask you to remove the batteries if they are accessible, many smart suitcases have integrated power systems that make this impossible. In most cases, the agent will magically find a spot in a cabin closet or under a seat. Avery kept his gear. Reality check. If your bag is truly oversized, this trick will not work. But for a standard carry-on, safety is your golden ticket. You saved your bag today, but the weight of your luggage is the next target for the fee machine. Here is Rule 11 of 15. Logan, a 44-year-old electrician, stood at the check-in counter at Orlando International Airport, MCO, staring at the scale. 51 pounds. He was exactly 1 pound over the limit. The agent did not even look up. She simply stated that it would be a $100 surcharge. Logan was stunned. $100 for the weight of a single loaf of bread? The system is designed to catch you when you are rushed and vulnerable. They want that extra revenue. Stop. Before you pull out your credit card, try the layering trick. Logan stepped to the side, opened his suitcase on the terminal floor, and pulled out his heaviest boots and a thick hoodie. He put the hoodie on and tied the boots to the outside of his backpack. Most airlines do not weigh your personal items or the clothes on your body. When Logan put the bag back on the scale, it read 49 pounds. He saved $100 in less than 2 minutes. Reality check. Budget airlines are becoming increasingly strict, and some may even weigh your personal item. But in most cases, wearing your heaviest gear is the easiest way to beat the scale. Logan kept his cash. But saving on bags is just the beginning. You still have to deal with those metal luggage sizes at the gate. Here is Rule 12 of 15. Have you ever noticed how those metal luggage sizes at the gate look just a little too small for a standard bag? Layla, a 33-year-old dentist in Phoenix, found out that the metal box can become a $75 nightmare. She was boarding at Phoenix Sky Harbor, PHX, certain her bag met the 22 by 14 by 9-inch limit. But the agent pointed to the sizer. Layla pushed and shoved, but the wheels caught on the metal edge. It would not slide in. The agent shook his head and charged her a gate check fee. The airline banks on your ignorance of how bags actually fit. A bag checked at the counter might cost $35, but at the gate, the price often doubles. It is a trap for overstuffed soft-sided bags that bulge in the middle. The fix is simple. Never overpack the front pockets. That extra inch of fabric is usually what causes the bag to fail the sizer test. Measure your bag at home, including the wheels and handles, and consider using a hard shell case that cannot expand. Layla learned that fitting in the overhead bin does not mean you will pass the gate agent's test. Check your measurements before you leave the house. Reality check. Agents have some discretion, but they are under pressure to collect fees. Do not give them a reason to target you. Here is Rule 13 of 15. By the year 2026, your face will essentially become your permanent boarding pass at over 80% of major hubs in the United States. For Luke, a 59-year-old librarian, it felt like a digital trap. Standing at Charlotte Douglas International Airport, CLT, he watched as passengers walked past high-tech cameras that scanned their features in milliseconds. No paper tickets, no phones, just a lens and an algorithm. Luke valued his privacy and did not want his biometric data stored in a corporate database. The system is designed for speed, and they hope you do not realize you have a choice. If you are a citizen, you can legally opt out of the biometric scan. When Luke reached the front, he politely told the agent that He would like a manual document check. There was no drama. The agent simply scanned his physical ID and his boarding pass the old-fashioned way. It took maybe 30 seconds longer, but Luke kept his data off the server. Reality check. Opting out is a standard procedure, but do not expect the agent to be happy about it. They are trained for efficiency. Your right to privacy remains, but you have to be the one to speak up and claim it. Luke passed through the gate with his privacy intact. But even the best privacy settings will not help you if your ID is not up to date. Here is Rule 14 of 15. Check your driver's license right now. Look for a tiny gold star in the top right corner. If it is missing, your domestic travel plans for next year are about to hit a massive wall. Starting May 7, 2025, a standard license will not get you past a TSA checkpoint. John, a 63-year-old pharmacist, found this out during a trial run at Chicago O'Hare, ORD. He arrived at the terminal ready for a quick trip to see family, but the agent stopped him. His ID lacked the star. John argued that he had used the same ID for a decade, but the law had changed. This is the real ID Act, and the airlines will not remind you because they are not responsible for your missed flight. Stop and plan ahead. You can still use a valid passport or a global entry card if your license is not upgraded, but for most people, a trip to the DMV is mandatory. It usually takes several weeks for the new ID to arrive by mail, so waiting until the last minute is a recipe for disaster. John eventually made his flight by using his passport, but many travelers will be turned away at the gate. Politeness will not help you when federal regulations are involved. But even with the right ID, the airline is still watching your every move online. Here is Rule 15 of 15. Ethan sat at a crowded gate at John F. Kennedy International Airport, JFK, refreshing a booking page on his laptop. He found a flight for $650, but hesitated for 10 minutes to check his bank balance. When he clicked refresh again, the price had jumped to $712. He felt a surge of anger. The airline was watching him. This is called dynamic pricing. They track your IP address and use browser cookies to monitor your interest in specific routes. The system is rigged to squeeze more money out of you the moment they sense you are ready to buy. Do not panic and pay the higher price. Most booking sites use tracking tokens to gauge your urgency. To beat them, you need to disappear. Always open an incognito window on your browser before you start your search. Better yet, use a different device or VPN to mask your digital footprint entirely. Often, those surging prices will miraculously drop back to the original rate once the site thinks you are a new, uncommitted visitor. It is a 30-second move that protects your bank account from predatory algorithms. Reality check. This is not a magic fix for every single flight, as seats do eventually sell out. But it is your first line of defense against being overcharged. Ethan cleared his cookies, switched to incognito, and booked the lower fare. Knowledge is the only way to beat the system. The airlines hate that you know these secrets, so hit subscribe to keep winning.